Hey there, Sarah Rosensweet, Peaceful Parenting Coach. I am here today to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk to you today about teens and tweens. I am the mom of 3 kids. My kids are 10, 14, and 17, so I know what I'm talking about here when I talk about teens and tweens. And it's a really, really hard time. Being a tween and being a teenager is it's an incredibly hard time in their lives. They're going through puberty or pre-puberty, and also their brains are rewiring themselves, which can make for a lot of drama and a lot of ups and downs. It can be hard for them, and it can be hard for us as parents. So I just want to talk a little bit today about how we can stay close to them and why it's important. So it's important because really we need to matter more than their friends. And we want them to come to us when they have problems. We want them to be, while their brains are still developing, we want to be the biggest influences on their lives. So, there's a lot of talk about teens and silly fads that they do and the trouble that they get into. And really, that's because they're searching for belonging. So we need to be the people that they belong to. We need to keep them in the fold of the family, not just by choice because they want to be close to us. So how can we stay close to our teens and tweens? Something just came up on my screen. Okay, sorry about that. How can we stay close to our teens and tweens? I have 9 tips for you, but don't worry, you don't have to take notes. I have these all available as a download. If you go to sarahrosensuite.com/downloads, you can get all of these tips so you can print them out and don't forget about them. So the first tip is don't take it personally. A good friend of mine, when she had teenagers, she said, I just keep reminding myself it's not about me. So don't take it personally. As I said before, this is a really difficult time. There are a lot of ups and downs, but it's not about you, and don't make it about you. So don't take it personally. Of course, you want to talk about how you speak to each other in the family and things like that, but not in the moment. Just don't take it personally. Be the calm in the storm. Don't add to the storm. The second tip is be a potted plant. What do I mean by that? It means that your teen and tweens still need you around, even if they're ignoring you. They need you to be there so that they can ignore you in a certain sense. It's really important, more than you know and more than they'll admit, it's important to be there for them. So as much as you can try to be there after school, as much as you can try and be around in the evenings and the weekends, it's great if you can be there, just to be there for them. As a potted plant, quietly in the background, they take enormous comfort in the fact that someone is home and someone is there, even if they would never admit it. The third tip is to remember, what is the third tip? Remember your own teen days. So remember how hard this was how hard those years were when you were a tween or teenager. Remember how it felt like everyone was staring at you and criticizing and everything that you did, whether that was real or imagined. It's just that we felt, I remember those years as terrible, really, especially middle school. It just felt like nothing I did was right. Nothing I said was right. I didn't have the right clothes. My hair looked bad. My skin was bad. It was a really, really hard time. I would never, ever go back to those years. So if you want to be closer to your teen or tween, go down memory lane. Remember what that was like for you. And I promise it will give you a lot more empathy and compassion for what they're going through. The fourth tip is try to give them as much independence as you can. And remembering that you are their safety net. And these are the years where they're going to be practicing being independent, making decisions. What kind of independence can you give your tween or teen while you are still there to be their safety net? Can your tween go walk to the store for you? Can they take public transit by themselves? And of course, you're going to go in baby steps, but how can you start to let them go? How can you start to give them the freedom that they need to learn how to make good choices while you're still there to pick up the pieces? There's a really great book about teenagers called Untangled, and she talks about that we're the edge of the pool, and they are swimming around in the pool, and they hold on to the edge for a little while, and then they kick off into the world. The pool is the world. They kick off into the world, and when they get tired and they need support, they come back to the edge, which is us. So be there for them, be that safety net, but also give them as much independence as possible. The fifth tip, practice sideways listening. What do I mean by that? So when you're in the car, when you are doing chores together, where you are sitting next to your child and you're not literally in their face, that is often when they feel that they can open up and talk to you. When they're not, that takes the pressure off. So set up as many opportunities as you can. Take the dog for a walk together. Don't have the radio on in the car. Just be there and be next to them and be and listen. Really, just listen. So practice sideways listening. That is our tip number 5. Tip number 6 is connect with them on their terms. So I have learned the hard way that when one of my kids comes and wants to tell me something, even if I'm in the middle of doing something, I can't say, give me a minute, I'll talk to you about that later, because inevitably when I come back and say, okay, what was it that you wanted to talk about? They say, never mind. So really on their terms, try and be there and be available for them. Try and be interested in, or at least show interest in what they're interested in. What's your favorite song these days? You want to play it for me? Ask them questions. Why do they like that song? Ask them to show you funny videos. Just be prepared to try and join them as in their world, in their teen or tween world of culture, and really show interest in that, even if you have to fake it at first. I just the other day, my middle son was asking me to watch snowboarding videos with him, and I really didn't want to. I was in the middle of something, as we often are. And he said, please, Mama, please come watch these videos with me. So I went and watched the videos with him, and my giant 5'11" boy ended up curled up next to me on the couch with his head on my shoulder and holding onto my arm. And I'll tell you, I did not move, and I stayed there watching those snowboarding videos with him. It was just, I cherish those moments now that they're getting fewer and farther between as my kids get older. Tip number 7 is ignore the attitude. The attitude, the eye rolls, the stomping, whatever the attitude, however that's showing, that's armor. That's them trying to protect their vulnerable feelings underneath. So try and ignore the attitude and get to whatever the feeling is underneath the attitude. If your daughter rolls her eyes at you, you might say, I think it looks like you think I don't understand. I'm really trying. Explain it to me. So really don't, again, that goes back to one of the earlier tips of not taking it personally, but really just try and recognize that attitude as armor that's protecting the more vulnerable feelings underneath them. They really do want to connect with you. I think that they just don't know how. This is a time of wanting to be closer and pulling away, and if we can just recognize that there still is that vulnerability there, and just ignore that and just go for the connection, that's really, really helpful. The 8th and second to last tip is recognize that your teen or tween are doing the best they can. If they're being difficult, it's because they're overwhelmed by life and big feelings, and maybe they're recognizing what a hard time this is, and they're starting to move away from us. So just really, if you can recognize that they're doing the best they can, you will have so much more empathy and compassion for your teen or tween. So just let that be your mantra. They're doing the best they can, and take it from there. And my final tip for you today, and once again, these tips are available at sarahrosensuite.com/downloads. My final tip for you today is have 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. That's from John Gottman, who's a relationship and marriage expert. I think it goes for any relationship, including the parent-child relationship. We really need to keep that healthy balance in our relationships. We need 5 positive for every 1 negative. So often we get caught up in the, are you doing what do you have for homework? Did you do the dishes? Can you walk the dog? Those are my my common things that I say. We forget to smile. We forget the tousle on the head, or the squeeze of the shoulder, or the tell me about something great that happened to you today. We forget to just go for that connection and go for a hug when we're caught up in moving through the schedule, or even worse, if we're having a lot of conflict with our child. We really need to up the positive interactions to balance out that conflict. So don't take it personally. Be a potted plant. Remember your own teen years. Give them independence with a safety net. Practice sideways listening. Connect on their terms. Ignore the attitude. Remember that they're doing the best they can, and have 5 great positive interactions for every negative interaction. And if you can do those things, you will give your child a sense of belonging that they can carry through these difficult years, and they will indeed, you will matter to them more than their peers, which is really the secret to having the teens and tweens that make it through these years unscathed. We really need to stay close to them, and we need to matter to them. So try these tips. You can join my Facebook group, which is Peaceful Parenting with Sarah Rosensweet, and we can have a conversation about teens and tweens and how's it going. And don't forget the downloads, sararosensweet.com/download. And I will see you soon. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.